Hey guys, what's up? So today I'm actually doing a video with Luke of ALC Productions, and we're going to do a video all about how to work well with a videographer on a wedding day. Okay, so basically we're just going to jump right in and just basically have a conversation about how we can work well with videographers, especially from the photographer's perspective, and what we can do to make it easier to work with videographers on weddings. So I'm just going to ask a few questions and just kind of get the conversation started. So first, tell me just what's one of the most important things when it comes to what you need from a photographer when you show up to a wedding day? Like, what's the biggest aspect of working together that you really need from a photographer?
Yeah, I think the most important thing to me on a wedding day when I come into it with a photographer is figuring out how to be a team, be team players with each other, where we're coming together not as two separate, like we're two separate companies coming together and then acting as one ultra team that can work really well together to give our couples an experience that they wouldn't get if it was just like this videographer's there and this photographer's there.
Yeah.
It's really important because if the team aspect isn't great up front, for me, if a photographer doesn't want to be my teammate, it makes the whole day harder because then we're both trying to do the exact same thing for the couple, but we're doing it in separate lanes basically, which just makes things more difficult. So being a great teammate is just killer for me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Just from my standpoint too, having a videographer that can just show up and be a teammate is just a game changer for the wedding day, just serving the couple really well. So how does that translate into even before the wedding and when so you know you're going to work with a videographer before you show up? Is there anything that we can do to make it easier once we do show up the day of and just make working together a really great process?
I think the best way to make those things work prior to the wedding, or when I show up to a wedding, it's awesome if I'm able to talk to the photographer prior. I always try to find the photographer through the bride and groom. I always ask them who it is. And if I already know them, I'll hit them up. If it's you, I'll be like, hey Stephanie, I'm shooting a wedding with you. This will be fun. But if I don't know them, I like to contact them and say, hey, my name's Luke. I'm the videographer. I'm really excited to work with you. What are some things that I can do to help the wedding day be easier for you as a photographer? Because like I said, team play is important to me. So if I can figure out what strengths and weaknesses the photographer feels they may have or may not have that day before, I can help them with their weaknesses in whatever way that can make them look better, and then I can help make their strengths even better, because that's important to me, because I want the client to get a beautiful product. And if I can help the photos be better and they can help the videos be better somehow, talking up front helps rather than just showing up and being like, hey, I'm Luke, nice to meet you. All right, let's see how this goes.
Not letting the wedding day be the first time you've ever interacted.
Yes.
Having that prior.
Sometimes it happens. Sometimes I just can't get in contact with them, or but it always works. This is just ideal. If I can talk to photographer beforehand, it makes the whole experience start a little bit easier than it would if I just didn't know who it was.
Yeah, totally. Is there anything that photographers in particular could ask or bring up before the wedding day that would be helpful? Or I guess if there's an example of a good way and a bad way to reach out before a wedding. If you had read someone reach out and you're like, this was just the wrong way to try to start the relationship versus a good way.
I'd say the bad way to reach out to me, or for me reaching out to a photographer.
Bad way of photographer reaching out to you. If they found out you're the videographer and you haven't been in contact yet.
Right.
I'm sure there's, I don't know if this is true, but if there's ever anyone that reaches out and you're like, that was a bad first impression,
Yeah, so whenever photographers reach out to me, and if they do, a really bad way to do it is reaching out to me and saying hey, this is what is going to happen that day, and this is what my schedule is, and this is what I'm going to be doing, and it's going to be if people come off, because there's this weird taboo or whatever word you want to say in the industry where obviously photography is usually the first thing people book in the vendor, the artistic vendor lineup. If a photographer comes talking to me as if they're the only vendor there and I'm just coming to do video, that's a really bad first impression. If that happens, it makes me immediately feel undervalued, and I don't want to feel that way on a wedding day, and I don't want them to feel that way. So whenever a photographer comes to me hey, my name's so-and-so, and I'm so excited to work with you. It's going to be super fun. what can I do to, like, usually they say, what can I do to stay out of your way? And I'm like, oh, you don't have to stay out of my way. That's fine. And it's sweet when they say that because it means they care about what I'm making too. So basically the moral of the story is if a photographer can value me the same way that they value themselves and the same way that I value them, it makes us all respect each other more, which respect is another big important thing. If we respect each other on a wedding day, it honestly makes us play good as a team. It helps us communicate, and then it helps us give a great product because we can talk to each other. I respect the shots you want to do and the way you want to compose things and the way you want to do the schedule, the way you want to talk, and you respect how I want to like get this low shot or do this weird thing that doesn't make sense, but you respect it, and then it ends up being cool.
Yeah.
So those are like, and it's not as technical as most people think. Most people think like, from a video standpoint, how can I help you photography wise with cameras or any of that? Like sometimes it's just like, let's just be cool human beings to each other, and it makes the whole process better.
Totally. And I think that's where like communication really comes into. So what are some ways like, okay, so like before the wedding day, obviously it's awesome to reach out and like just connect. So you kind of have that first impression and you like are on the same page about being on a team. So when it actually comes to the wedding day and when you show up and start working together, what are some things that like photographers can just keep in mind when working with a videographer and like forming and then also keeping that great relationship as you're working together?
Yeah, I think some things photographers can do that day, the day of a wedding, is we can basically compose off of each other. So when I'm talking shot composition, whenever it's like, because I get the number one thing that is asked of me or told to me by photographers is, just let me know if I'm in your way. I don't want to be in your way. And my way of like fixing that is, let's just be next to each other and compose. If we can figure out how to compose, and like if I'm underneath you and you're right above me, or I'm to the right of you and you're to the left of me, because a lot of the times, and there'll be like the perfect angle, and I usually miss the perfect angle because usually the photographer's in it. If we can find a way to like meet halfway with the perfect angle where we both get a perfect angle, which is possible if you know how to compose properly.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that that is like a really important thing we can do day of, as well as if we need to ride from another location to the next, it's just smarter sometimes to ride together because then we can get there at the same time. Or hitting each other up about, this is a good communication thing, like, hey, let's both show up 30 minutes before the wedding at the same time. That way we can both say hi to the couple, we can both get started at the same time, that way neither of us miss anything. We're not like filming all the detail shots and then you have to take photos, or you're not taking photos of all the details and then I have to go set it all back up. Because those like little small things add up through the day where it stresses you out if you don't get it. Because like I know that you do this, because we talked about this before, but I have a shot list in my head. I have specific things I know I need throughout the day, and I know that you need them as well. So if we both keep that in mind throughout the day, then we can get all the shots we need to make the great video and make the great album at the same exact time, where we're not missing anything, because that's the most important thing, is that we're not missing anything. And if we're not just not missing stuff, I want it to look beautiful. So if I have to like set a dress up real fast somewhere else because I only have 5 minutes, and it had just been in like a really dope location, some people would think that stinks, but like if you're trying to go over like above and beyond and make this video or these photos look top notch, like that little tiny thing can like put a damper on my whole day. So
totally.
So those are a couple things throughout the day that help me.
That's awesome. I think that really comes back to just being like flexible and willing to work together, and even if something's not the most ideal, like if you have to be the one to crouch, you have to be the one to like scoot over slightly, like just being flexible and realizing that if you're willing to do that for them, they're willing to do that back for you, and then you're both going to get awesome shots throughout the day. Instead of you both. And then in addition to that, you're saving time and maximizing the amount of time that you have. So essentially, it's just giving yourselves the opportunity to get the best shots for you and the videographer, instead of like you almost competing for the same shot all day long, and then you end up taking more time to get portraits done or to get details done, or like, and it just takes forever, and then you're not serving your couple as well as you could because you're not on the same page at all.
Because whenever you're able to figure out ways to work really well together, respect each other, communicate, like you just said, it saves time, which essentially makes the couple happier because they're not worried about us, and then like I don't have to be like, all right, I'm going to go take them for 30 minutes now. All right, you go take them for 30 minutes. All right, I'm going to take this for 30 minutes. That just defeats the point of being there and figuring out how to do our job well.
Totally. Okay, so I do have one more question for you. So after the wedding day, what are some ways that photographers can really just serve you well and like help keep you included in their final like photos and social media and all of that. We would love to hear anything you have to say about that.
Yeah, I think that the post-production or post-processing, however you want to say it, side of it is just as important as talking before, doing it. It's like a 3-part thing. You talk before, you photo and film the wedding, and then you talk during post-production so that whenever it goes live, we can still we can still keep communication in some way. So my favorite thing is I love it when photographers tag me in their photos, not to say like ALC Productions made this, but to say like, here's the photos we took, and because I personally like to see what you did, because I was a part of that special day, and I'm like, I want to see what it looks like, and I like to do that the same way as well. Like whenever I post a video, I tag all of the vendors. That way, not only can you see it, but also it gives all of you, a bunch of eyes for my account that may not have seen you before. So it's a marketing technique too.
Totally.
I want you to get more business because I think you're great and I think photographers are great. I want them to get more business, so I tag them in it. I tag the venue. I tag all those things because the whole process was fun. We respected each other. We had a good time. We were a team. Let's just be a team on the back end too. Plus, I want people to watch it. So like,
yeah, totally.
I want people to see your photos and I want people to watch my videos. So I'm going to tag as many people as possible. That way, it gets in front of the right people's eyes and somehow beats the algorithm, because algorithms just ruin our lives, basically.
We can all feel that.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I love it when videographers tag me in their final videos, because I get so, like, I can just remember one that just got completed and he tagged me in it on Instagram, and I was like, oh, stop everything I'm doing, like, gotta watch this video. Like, it's so fun because, like you said, like, you are part of the process together, and if you think of it that way and like you're a team, it makes it really exciting to see the videos and photos afterward.
Of course. It's a great ending to it. And then after that, I love to keep specific photographers on my list where if I need a photographer or something, or if a client hits me up about it, I can be like, hey, this is a person that I really liked. Here they are. And I like that. That happens both ways. And that's how I think all of us stay in business, because a lot of how we all get weddings is word of mouth and people referring each other. And the more we refer each other, the better our community grows, because there's so many weddings to do. And everyone,
like 10,000 just in Columbus.
Yeah, so people are like, I don't want competition, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, literally, I will send 15 different photographers out to a client if I have to, and be like, these people are amazing. I know there's a lot of them, but there's so many weddings. Like, I want to be able to help everyone.
No person can shoot 10,000 weddings. Like, there's no way. There's
plenty
of business.
So that's all the things. I love working with photographers, and those specific things like, communicating well, talking beforehand, respecting each other, figuring out how to work well together the day of, really help me give my couples a better product, and it makes me have more fun the day of the wedding. Like, I want it to be fun too, because it is work, and if we can find ways to make work even more fun than it already is, because we're already lucky enough that we get to do this for a living, it makes me happy. And then I get to make new photographer friends, which I respect, because it's cool to have artists as friends.
Oh yeah, it's so fun. You kind of understand each other a little bit more, because you're like doing the same weddings, and you understand, like, you're in your home in your editing cave for hours, and like, it's just fun to have that camaraderie and have that friendship with people. And I'll also say, just like to the other photographers watching this, like, going in with that team mindset, like Luke has been talking about, is just so cool. Like, it just makes the wedding day go so much more smoothly for everybody. And that's going to come back on how well you serve your couple. So if you're wanting to go in and just be like, oh, whatever, like, I don't have to do this with a videographer, I want you to change that mindset, because it really does make a huge difference in just the weddings I've shot. Whenever I go in with a team mindset with me and the videographer doing that, and we're able to work together on that, it's just so amazing what happens on the wedding day, and how much more, like Luke was saying, it's just so much more fun, and you make more friendships that way.
Heck yeah, I love it.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much. This was really, really awesome, and I loved having you on.
Yeah, same. This was fun. I loved it.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I guess I'll see them next week.
I'll be here every week.